Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of our family and parenting. Uh, Once again, it's me, Ben Setenda, and Judy, my wife. And today I want to talk about family culture. Family culture in parenting, and want to discuss with regard to that, and we'll be giving a few examples to elaborate on and make it practical. We are closing our week, and this is our final episode for family and parenting. And today also we'll discuss the big practices that entail family culture. How do you grow a family culture? How do you enforce it? What makes it sweeter? How to also engage the entire family in this development of the family culture. Um, there are cultural traditions, depending on which part of the country you come from, which tribe you are. I'll give an example where I come from, which is central Buganda. Uh, while we were growing up, I remember we used to kneel for our parents, whether you're a boy or a girl. All of us used to kneel, and when you're greeting guests or visitors in the home when they come, you also kneel irrespective of whether you are a boy or a girl. So that is one of the cultural traditions. There are also religious traditions, like we used to dress up very smartly on a Sunday, then go to church, and come back home, have lunch together. So there's also religious traditions, but then also there are family traditions that bring the family together, that unite the family. And citing out some, I remember uh, visiting one of the family in Makerere, very good friends of ours. And I remember they used to serve dinner at 7. So the maids used to be uh, engaged so much the whole day, and actually their job was to make sure home is taken care of. So particularly for dinner and breakfast, they used to serve breakfast from 6:30 to about 7. Breakfast used to be ready and served on the dining table. So you'd leave your bedroom. Some of us used to go to school, others the father used to go to work, and the mom. But wherever time you leave your bedroom, you know that by 7 we are leaving, because they used to have one car, and they'll be leaving to go to work, to school, and they used to drive in the same car. So I remember the times I used to visit that family, uh, breakfast would be set up at 7. So you come down from your bedroom, you prepare, you have your breakfast. Whoever comes in has their breakfast on the dining table, not having breakfast moving or
In the
wherever you
sitting
want.
room.
You sit on the dining, have your breakfast, clear your table mat. The next persons, if they come after you, they serve, and at 7 we all enter the car and leave. Dinner will be the same. They will prepare dinner, and at 7, between 7 and 9, dinner will be served. Those that are home at the same time, like when it's served, all sit on the table and enjoy the meal together. There was that requirement that whoever is at home at that time, we all sit on the table and then have dinner together. We enjoy the meal together. Then whoever comes in after will find the table set. So you have your meal. Then at about 9, the maids would clear the table, unless you reported that I'll be coming in late. So yours will be kept in the oven or in the microwave. You warm it up and eat, but that had to be communicated as well. So I picked that culture, and I liked it, where the family has meals together. It creates a bonding, and there's a lot to learn from that. Do you have anything to add on that?
Okay. Personally, some of the traditions that I remember, while growing up. One was some of course are good, others are not so good, but one was we never used to have dinner before daddy comes back home unless he is not around, unless he has traveled. But most times he would be home, he would be like within the country, or within Kampala, and we had to wait for him. So most times our dinner used to be after 10. So as soon as he comes, and then as we lay the table, we set the table. So it's different from the Benons where within a particular time the table is set. So for us, we would never eat before daddy comes back home. And then that is one of the traditions I remember. The second, well, it was a practice, because family traditions or family culture, they can be the little things that you do together as family, or big. So it depends, but as long as there's something that identifies you as a family. So for us, the Burahi family, we would hardly eat dinner before daddy comes back home. And then one of the fond memories I have is with my brothers. We used to we used to have our dinner at the dining table. Never in the sitting room or kitchen or wherever. All of us would sit. So if the tables, because we were quite many, if the chairs were all done, then you would go look for the stools, the what, but somehow you'd all be around the dining table. So after the meal, I would stay with my brothers at table and talk like up to 2 a.m. So our parents would just go to bed, close. There was that door, that there's a door like that leads to the bedroom. They would close that door and then would just sit and chat up to like 2 a.m. And so that 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 little culture, little tradition that we had created such a bond that is still evident up to today. So for me, that's one of the little family tradition that we had. So what is important to note in this discussion is that they could be the little things that you do together as family, or big. But what is important is, for family, like though we've said, there are cultural traditions, there are religious traditions, the Christmas, the Easter, but are there are there practices that you do together as family? And why this is important, one is that family culture or family traditions create fond memories. They create positive memories about family, about siblings, about parents. And so it's important that as a child, I'm doing a course in early childhood development, and one of the things that they encourage with little children is to begin influence or impact at an early age, 0 to 5. And so it's important for us as family that, for some of us that still have little children in our homes, or even if they are big, it's never too late to start. But it's important that we impact our children with little traditions that create positive memories in their minds. And then the second thing as to why culture as a family, or these practices, are important is that they show commitment from us as parents. You know, children get to understand that we are actually important. We are worth mommy's time, we are worth daddy's time. I don't think it's obvious, but it's in what we do that show that we are valuable. On Christmas, while we're growing up, of course, we used to get new clothes, but whenever we travel to the village, or my dad used to love introducing his children. And I remember that vividly, because it always used to it was evident that my father was proud of his family, was proud of his children. And so whatever little traditions that you do, they spell out love and commitment to the children. Is there anything else?
Yes, they also give a sense of identity for the
Yeah.
family. Family cultures can give the family. I'll give you an example. Like I don't know whether you remember growing up, there are people we used to look up to, especially towards marriage around there. Men and women who would say that if you want to talk about family, so and so
Yeah.
is a family man,
Yeah.
or a family woman. Like they treasure their family. Their family always comes first. That shows that one, they are committed to the family, but two, they prioritize the family. So I think part of cementing that kind of commitment is through practicing family culture. So when you do these things, like some of what we have mentioned, and doing it consistently, it creates a form of identity. The other one is as well enforcing family values. It's more of interchangeable. Uh, One, family culture is brought out or enforced by practicing family values, but as they are practiced, also it forms the culture. And when the culture peaks, like if you're known for this, then it means the values are strengthened. So I think one of the other things is that it enforces the family values, and these are agreed upon as a family. You sit down as a family and you say this is what we'll be known for as the settlers, and so you practice that. You hold each other accountable
To that
in those
value.
areas, and then it reinforces the family culture.
Okay. Something else that we want to look at is a few key points to note as we are thinking out our cultures or our traditions. For some of us that already have strong, for some of us already have strong traditions or a strong culture, what we need to look out for, one, is that time is very important. Excuse me. One is that time is very important, so we need to be very consistent with time when it comes to culture. Children are very good with consistency. When they know what to expect, then it easily, it's easily cemented with consistency. So it's very important that we have an agreed time or a particular routine that we follow. Yes, from the time, as I said, and as from the time we agreed that our family altar is going to be Tuesday, not just any day we have time or any day we can come back home early. No, when we agreed that it's Tuesday, it's at this particular time. It became very easy, for us to roll into it, and for our children to also just pick up.
Actually, on that point, when we agreed, even the children hold you accountable.
Yeah.
The children themselves will ask, "Mommy, today you've come back late, and we're going to have our family
Yeah.
altar." Or when the time has come, you've come back home, maybe on the phone or you're doing something else. They'll quickly remind you that daddy or mommy, it's time for our altar.
Okay. Thank you. Then the other key point to note also is to always remember relationships ahead of the rule. What does that mean? Culture helps us to, some of us could, I think I remember a friend of mine sharing a story here how the parents would, every time they would see the children together in one area, then like in one place, then it's time to say, have you done your Bible study, or let's meet and do Bible study. But to think about the relationships we are going to build, to think about cementing relationships ahead of just saying this is the rule of the home, or this is what needs to be done. So to think about the relationships we are going to build, to think about the bonding we are going to have, to think about the connecting ahead of just saying what needs to be done. Yes.
Yes. Maybe on examples we can give. For example, the settlers. We can give you a few examples of what we do in practicing family culture and developing family culture. There are things like we have mentioned already, the family altar, and we have that on a particular day of the week and a particular time. We because we have also set times for children going to bed and dinner times, so all that falls into place. So we agreed that we'll have our Tuesdays as our quarter day, and that is between 8 to 9, so that the children by 9 are going to bed. We also have a culture of bedtime stories for the children, and that is mainly done by my wife. I'm asked to tell stories. I'm yet to rehearse and plug in. But on the bedtime stories, my wife is doing a good job. The other one that yes,
Okay. Um, One of the things that I've noticed our children, they I started it off and I didn't know how strong it was going to, how strong it was going to catch fire, if that's the right word I could use. But again, like we said, the traditions, they emphasize consistency. And so I noticed that now every night I have to get into the routine of telling the stories. And I have noticed that one of the things that I didn't talk about is to think of values ahead of the valuables. So to think about what value do I want to pass on to our children, during